And we're recording, sir. We took a week off, but we're back at it. And today we are going to go with the top 5 sidekicks of all time. With me, today, Kurtis Allen, local radio god from Wixie 100.3. That's just what we say in the biz.
Yeah.
Right. What's going on, dude? I never give you a chance to, to flex a little bit. Well, yeah, that's never going to change. But what's going on? I gave away my car, so I haven't listened to radio in a little bit.
You gave away your car? Wait, that sounds like a story.
Yeah, man, I just gave it away. Probably not going to be going back to work for the calendar year. My insurance payments are worth more than my car. My registration came up, and I started adding in all the things that were kind of going wrong with it, and that's it.
Did you find someone on the street and you were like, hey, buddy, you want a car? Or what did...
I did. I just tossed the keys in and said, hey, no. Connected with a friend, Lisa, Facebook friend. I don't know if she's watching, but hello. Her son's going into the auto program at Parkland, and I figured this is a good project as any. And he's 16, so it would do him more good than me. So there we go.
Well, that's very nice of you. Very nice. Very nice of you.
So I haven't listened in a while, but I'm sure you guys are being creative and doing new things. Is there anything you want to shout out or, give attention to for the...
Oh, I mean, we're, Melissa and I were just having a lot of fun in the mornings. We're wrapping up a couple of contests on Wixie. As we record this, it's the last day to vote for the Dog Days of Summer. So we're going to have a winning pooch in the listening area that's going to win them and their master $400. So we got that going on right now.
Wait. Barbecue would crush this contest. And the submission's already done. It's all voting now.
We're finishing up voting today. Yeah. That's what you get for giving away your car. I mean, there are other ways you can listen to the radio, Ryan. I don't know if you know that or not. There are several other ways besides your car.
Are there?
If you have the internet, which you clearly do.
I do.
Stream us live anytime at Wixie.com. Or with the TuneIn app, you can download. I know you have like 6 smartphones because you're that guy. So you can download it to one of those smartphones, the TuneIn app, and search for Wixie there as well.
See, when I was in the biz, streaming was verboten. So I'm not used to that. So, okay. All right, man. Yes. Well, next year we're going to sweep. So just letting you know.
You have an adorable dog. You do. You have a very cute dog. I won't take that away from you, sir.
That's right. But, we got to do what we can do.
And what else? We're doing a thing with Twisted Tea for every week. We have the hardest worker in Wixie country. You can nominate at Wixie.com if you know a hard worker, someone that should be recognized. Each week, Melissa and I, we go and we pay them a little visit, and they get a brand new Coleman cooler from Twisted Tea. It's got all sorts of good stuff in it. Lots of summertime stuff, hats, sunglasses, beer koozies. We can't give away actual alcohol, so there's just regular swag, lots of swag. There's regular iced tea that you can have.
We won't judge what you do with it.
Yeah. I assume you're sipping a Twisted Tea right now.
They're not an official sponsor, but if they want to be, then yes, I will.
It's Catalina wine. Is that what you're drinking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm listening to 80s Joel, and I got my Catalina wine going on.
It's strictly 80s Joel. It was on last night. I don't know if you caught it, but Step Brothers was on Comedy Central last night. So I did not.
I have my own copy, man. I'm old school. I have still a library of DVDs, and it's in there. I actually watched Not Another Teen Movie last night, which is a classic. So.
No.
Yes, it is, dude. Yes, it is. It is a classic.
Oh,
it's fantastic. I watched that and the Lego movie with the kids because they had a slumber party. It's technically the last weekend before virtual school on Monday. So.
Yeah. Kel had a night out with some friends, so it was just me and the dynamic duo last night. So we watched Aladdin for the second or third time, the new one. I can't get them hooked on. It's driving me crazy. I want them to love the original as much as I do with Robin Williams, but they're all about the new one. So we watched Will Smith as Genie again last night, and then put him to bed. Step Brothers was on and watched some Step Brothers. There was some UFC on last night. I'm a big Frankie Edgar fan, so I had to support my boy Frankie Edgar in the main event of UFC Fight Night last night, which he won. And now I'm here talking with you, and you got the Catalina wine mixer thing in the background. Is Dell on your list of sidekicks by chance?
No, okay. Because I can't make one above the other. Like, you know,
right.
That's the challenge of this is there's a hierarchy here. You know, one is definitely a leader and one is a sidekick. You know, it needs to be established. And in this particular situation, I can't put one above the other, but it was considered. I can sell a lot of things, but I don't think I could amend a case for that.
Gotcha.
So here we go. Number 5. Guest always goes first. So go ahead and lead us off with the number 5 sidekick of all time.
Well, when we were putting this together, you basically said there are no rules. At first, you're like, not so much with enforcers, but if you're going to pick an enforcer.
I was just telling you to tread lightly. I wouldn't say technically no enforcers, but there, again, going back to the balance of power, a lot of time the enforcers steal the shine from the actual main character. So, and therefore, it's not really a sidekick. They like to go to the beat of their own drum. I picked up, I mentioned Furio from The Sopranos.
Right.
That's not Tony's sidekick, man. That was a definitely different dynamic. He felt he was equal or above Tony. So.
Right. Well, and in the last episode we did, it was the top 5 pro wrestlers. Mm-hmm. Literally, if there was someone who was an enforcer for my number 1, Ric Flair, it's the enforcer, Arn Anderson. I don't think Arn is a sidekick, so he's not on my list here. But,
okay, I was about to say I was going to debate that. So okay.
And I didn't want to. I could hear a lot of people saying, "What about Ed McMahon and Paul Schaefer?" I didn't want to go with actual people. I wanted to go with characters from different movies and television shows and things like that. I wanted that to be my focus.
All right.
I didn't want to necessarily go with enforcers. And so my number 5 comes from the world of cartoons, from a classic. He could have been the mayor of Bedrock. Mr. Barney Rubble, sir, is my number 5 on the list of top 5 sidekicks of all time.
I'm a big fan, and I think Betty is the hotter of the 2 wives. So I feel like he kind of won in that aspect. So there's something he got going on.
Yeah.
So what exactly in Barney's persona do you think makes him a great sidekick? And 5 of all time sidekick. Like what memorable Barney moments do you have?
Oh my goodness. Well, in every episode of the Flintstones, Fred always finds himself in a dilemma, right? For the most part, it's usually Fred that has a dilemma, but no matter what, Barney is the ultimate loyal friend. He's always got Fred's back. He's always there for him, but he never outshines Fred. It's the Flintstones. It's, Barney Rubble never outshines him. And there are a couple episodes where Barney has the lead. And I think the one that sticks out to my mind is, a lot of people may not know this, but Bam Bam was adopted. And it was one of the first television shows in history that talked about the adoption process and what that was like. And they're doing it on a kid's cartoon. And so that was like, and there's a lot of adult themes that were in the Flintstones that people don't recognize or maybe don't remember from that era. But that episode jumps out to me, and it sort of puts the focus on him, which happens from time to time with sidekicks, right? Throughout the course of a show or a movie, here's their storyline that we're going to focus on for this week, or, this 20, 30 minutes of the movie, whatever the case may be. And then it goes back to the main character. And so the whole point at the end of it was, now Pebbles has got someone to play with in Bam Bam, and Barney has his son that he's adopted. So that was an episode that really jumps out to me. But to me, it's always Fred and Barney. Fred's always going to be first. Barney's always going to be second. Great sidekick. Number 5 on my list.
He's the consummate, support, voice of reason, all that kind of thing. But yeah, going back to, we had the Boomerang streaming system, and I was like, oh yeah, Flintstones, let's do it. and you ring up some of those episodes and people are smoking and stuff. It's like, oh, I guess I forgot, like, and they got back from a card game where he won a lot of money and they trying to hide it from the wives. I mean, it's dated and it's definitely more adult themed than you think of when you're.
There are references in the Flintstones to spousal abuse, which I've forgotten all about. And to your point, I was watching some of the old ones not that long ago, and there's one where Wilma's crying, and Fred's like, "Oh, now come on, sweetie, calm down. The neighbors are gonna think I'm slapping you around." I'm going, like I had to rewind. I was like, "Did I just hear that?"
Different times, man.
Different time, man. Right? Yeah. And this is So I couldn't believe. I don't know. As a little guy watching it, that never clicked in my head. But as a grown man, like, oh my God, there's references to spousal abuse on the Flintstones. Calm down, Wilma. The neighbors are going to think I'm slapping you around if you keep crying. It's just like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's loosely based off the Honeymooners,
Right, sure. Yeah.
Not a very PC show as people.
No, the Honeymooners, no, not at all. How bang zoomed is straight to the moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Right in the kisser.
Right in the kisser. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. As I said, my list is a little unconventional. So, I mean, there are real people.
Of course.
My number 5, you DJ, right? I mean,
I do.
From being an on-air personality, in a simpler time when there were more parties around, you go out there, you set up your thing, you drop the hits, as they say. Exactly. And anytime anybody hears that you can't be any geek on the street, you know what I mean? Got to be handing with the steel, earn your keep. My number 5 is Mr. Nate Dogg as the all-time sidekick. He came on a song and he did his piece, and it was melodic and beautiful, and
Always.
It had everything around. And when people remember songs from either, the second Chronic album, Smoke Weed Every Day, or, Regulators, or anything like that, he had that unique hype man melodic voice that inspired people like T-Pain or etc. I mean, Warren G was the star. Dr. Dre was the star. He was the guy that came in. He was the sidekick. He was the member of the crew.
His tracks with Eminem, same thing. Yeah.
They were all in the family, but I mean, Nate Dogg made an album. We won't talk.
I'm gonna say, did you get the solo album? Did you ever listen?
But it didn't click because that wasn't his steed, man. He was supposed to be the secondary voice, man. He's the one that ties it all together. He is the butter on the toast. Like, he is just the man that does it. And ergo, Nate Dogg, number 5 sidekick of all time.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Well, I will say, because even though hip hop is my preferred genre of music, I did think about like lead guitarists. I'm like, but a lot of times when you really break it down, I had a hard time being like, is Slash really a sidekick to Axl? Is Page Plant? Mick, Keith? Like, you can't really do that. It doesn't really compute. But Nate Dogg was always, he did his piece, and he crushed it, and he made those songs the hits that they were. But he never really, took over. He never had his own verse. He was never top billing. He just was there for support and to bring that iconic voice in. Rest in peace. The man just passed away at the age of 51, and the world will be a better place with him.
I love it. I love the tribute as well, sir. So on that note, I got to go to number 4. We're going to go from, some serious love for Nate Dogg. And again, I drew a lot from the world of cartoons and television for my sidekicks, and movies for that matter. This one at number 4, for a moment when I was thinking about this, I almost thought, boy, there's such a show stealer of a character. I don't know if I can say they're a sidekick. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, nah, it's one of the ultimate sidekicks. And it's just so funny. And it was portrayed by the great Eddie Murphy. I'm talking about Donkey from Shrek.
Nice.
Is my number 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that one did not make Dr. Beef. I'm gonna have to talk with him about that. That did not actually make my consideration here, but yeah, I mean, for as much as Shrek is a comedy overall, and he's a star, and a lot of those references are dated. You know, a lot of the actual Shrek commentary is Mike doing his character, his Scottish character that he does so well, and referencing stuff from the 90s. Donkey stuff is timeless. Like,
timeless.
Sarcastic. I mean, Eddie Murphy, depending on who you ask, could be number one all time, top three easily comedians of all time.
Yeah.
The fact that they tapped into that for that movie is really what steals the movie, in my opinion. I think
absolutely
he is by far the best part. So yeah, that's a fantastic pick.
Yeah, I mean, just throughout the Shrek series of films, Donkey is always he's always the funniest. The character is so funny, like you said, timeless. But Donkey always finds himself in peril. Every once in a great while, he uses his wits to get out of a situation. But for the most part, he plays that role of the weakling, so to speak, to Shrek being the alpha strongman, and Shrek's always saving the day and saving Donkey. And I just thought it just the perfect sidekick. Even from the get-go, the start of the character, it's so annoying to Shrek, and he's always picking at Shrek a little bit. It's almost like the classic buddy cop movie or something like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no. So I went with Donkey. I thought about maybe going a little bit higher on my list, but I knew I had to have a spot for Donkey on my top 5 sidekick list. That's why Donkey is number 4.
And he impregnated a dragon. I mean, he's amazing. How many people can say that?
No, you would think that would have happened on the Flintstones with a dinosaur, but it didn't.
Right? I've seen a woman give birth to dragons, but I've never seen, I digress before I go down that road too far. All right.
Yeah.
Number 4, I went with not, a big shooter, but it's sci-fi, and everybody thinks, okay, and he may show up on your list, so I'm going to go with not the one that people might think is the most obvious one. If you Google sidekicks, there's a big hairy sidekick that everybody seems to think is number 1. I disagree. I think the number 1 sci-fi sidekick is Groot. My name is Groot. Groot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not rolling with Chewbacca. Okay.
Yeah, no. Everybody thinks Chewbacca. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Chewie fan. I ride for Solo, the movie. I thought that was a great movie. I'm a big fan of his comedic relief. But let's be honest, he didn't get a medal in the ceremony at the end of the movie for a reason. He doesn't have a memorable scene. You see him shooting his big crossbow, etc. He's always there. He's helping out. He can help with the hyperdrive. He can do whatever. But ultimately, Chewbacca is just like that good guy to have around. Groot, I'm not even going to say spoiler alert because you haven't seen the original Guardians of the Galaxy, then to hell with you. He literally saves everybody's lives. He risks his own life to wrap everybody around him. We Are Groot was like that only moment in that movie where I actually kind of, got me. We Are Groot. Man of few words. Not Rocky Raccoon. What's the raccoon's name?
Rocket
Raccoon. He's got his back. He's hanging off of him, doing whatever. He literally never steals the spotlight because he doesn't speak anything but one word. But one word's all he needs to get his emotions across. And even as he has to restart himself from a baby back to where he is, he still comes in and helps Thor with his axe handle to help save the universe when the Avengers come back around again. He's always there in the background, never stealing the spotlight. He's a wonderful sidekick. Personally, I think Groot, he can wreck shop too. He's a mild-mannered guy, but if it comes down to it, the dude can raise up, thrash everything. I love Groot. He's comedic in one-word sentences. The dude's I'm a big fan.
I can tell.
Groot is the number 4 sidekick of all time.
I can't argue with you. Like you said, you have an eclectic list, and
I do, and these aren't even the eclectic ones.
No, I like the pick. I like the choice of Groot. Groot probably sold the most T-shirts out of anybody from the Guardians movies, I would guess. I saw a lot of "I am Groot, we are Groot" T-shirts at Hot Topic at the mall and things like that. A lot of people wearing, a lot of kids wearing them.
What are you doing at
a few
Hot
years
Topic,
ago.
Curtis?
Why do I go into Hot Topic? Oh, well, I go into Hot Topic to get my my heavy metal T-shirts and my pro wrestling T-shirts on occasion.
All right.
And sometimes I just feel like getting a little Zabaro at the mall, and I'm like, you know what? It's right there. I'll get a slice of pizza and go see if there's any cool T-shirts I'd like to buy. So.
I think the self-sacrifice alone. I mean, I think the movie was all tied together. I mean, it's a Star-Lord story, but I mean, the ending and the self-sacrifice and the emotion tied in with that. I have a hard time. There are other, sacrificial characters in other movies, and there are a lot of sidekicks in other sci-fi movies that definitely stole the spotlight more, but then I was more in the battle of, is this person more of the star than the lead character, where I felt like Groot never really, even though he was a fan choice for a lot of people, Chris Pratt's Chris Pratt, and he was still the star of the movie.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I feel like he's a safe sidekick. And again, it's Groot. I'm Groot. This list is Groot.
Yes. Well, my number 3 might be the most controversial pick I have. I think this might be the one where I get a little pushback from you. I don't know. We're going to see.
It's been a little too seamless so far. I'm a little worried.
It's been a little what?
Too seamless so far. I'm a little worried, man.
Oh, yeah, I might actually
some controversy.
Okay, well, I'll give you this one might be controversial. I don't know. We'll see. Again, going back to the world of cartoons, going back to classic cartoons that I grew up watching. He ended up being, in my opinion, America's favorite hippie. And I think he's a sidekick because he doesn't get top billing for the show. I'm talking about Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, sir.
Okay.
Now, I know a lot of people are going to go, no, Scoob and Shaggy are a package deal. They are, and their friendship is beautiful. However, it's Scooby-Doo. It's not Scooby and Shaggy. It's Scooby-Doo, number 1. Number 2, Scoob's always kind of outsmarting Shaggy when they have their interactions. He's always the smarter of the two. He's the leader of the two. Shaggy's finding food here and there, whatever. Zoinks, jinkies, but
head sandwiches.
Head sandwiches. But to me, Shaggy's kind of the perfect sidekick.
I can't argue this one because I did consider the thing myself. I was going to go Scoob, actually. But because, in my opinion, Fred is the leader of the gang. Not so much the title of the cartoon, because in having children, I've learned that there are like 19 different Scooby-Doos now in different stages. Some of them have different people in them, and like some of them are new animation. There's a pup named Scooby-Doo that I remember from Saturday morning cartoons, et cetera, et cetera. But Fred's technically the leader of it. And so therefore, I think it's a personal preference of Shaggy or Scooby. I'm more interested that you took Shaggy because, Scooby typically, whether intentional or not, through whether he was baited or not by snacks, would either use his super sniffer or stumble into some way, shape, or form to save the day. So my only contention would be that I think Scoob's a bigger sidekick than Shaggy, but I can't be mad at Shaggy. I love him. I was considering him for Halloween this year, which won't happen. So
don't say that. Come on now. Hold out hope. Hold on. You can still dress up as Shaggy if you'd like.
I was thinking, if the two boys, 6 and 3, do Scooby and Scrappy, maybe I can talk my wife into Velma or Daphne. I don't know. I can definitely do Shaggy. So I'm balancing there. I said Velma or Daphne. I'm not trying to give up any kind of insight here, man. Either one. They both have their place.
They did.
They did.
Well, Well, who's your number 3 on that note?
My number 3 is, again, not a fictional person. It's another real life person. One of the greatest teams assembled of all time featured a magical, athletic freak. We've all watched the documentaries. His name was Michael Jordan, but he couldn't have got it done without his sidekick, Mr. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen is the number 3 sidekick of all time.
Oh, there's some controversy.
What's controversial about that? There's a definite power hierarchy. There's the leader and the alpha in Michael Jordan, and then there's Scottie Pippen. There's a reason why Scottie Pippen's contracts sucked, is because he's not Michael Jordan.
Can't argue with that. But no, there were times when Scottie was the leader without, that 18-month run without Michael. So
and he sat on the bench when Tony Kukoc took the last shot because he was pouting and didn't want to go in. Was that when he was the leader?
What about when he was with the Rockets, along with Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon? Whose sidekick was he then?
Well, it's debatable between both of them. He might have been the third wheel, actually, at that point in time.
I think Clyde Drexler was on that team, too.
Yeah.
I think so.
He definitely wasn't the leader, that's for sure. He is the consummate sidekick. They literally called them Batman and Robin. He was like the support role. Fantastic, very talented player. I'm not disparaging his accomplishments and what he did for that team. I think Michael would have only won maybe 3 or 4 instead of 6 without him. But, he's still the sidekick, and he is one of the greatest of all time. The 90s were literally my life, or formative life. I started high school in 91. I graduated high school in 99. And during that whole time, what did I just say? 8 years of high school, my friends. And that is why I'm a list master. Started high school in 91, graduated college in 99. And all throughout that time.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
They're called doctors. I got a master's at Centennial High School. But during that time, the Bulls run was through all that, and it was it was huge. And everybody was either reintroduced or introduced it again recently through The Last Dance, and people could see what. Even though he shows up on the NBA top 50 players of all time, as voted on. A lot of people, he's a forgotten man. So I think this put a little bit more shine on him. But even like when they're boarding the bus in that documentary and Michael's like, come on, let's go. We got a tea time. He still wants to get the interview in and Michael's still honking the bus horn. Like, no, we're going alpha, beta. He's the sidekick. He went along. He's great, but he's still a sidekick, and he's my number of all time.
All right. Mm-hmm. It's getting serious. My number 2, I think, is the top sidekick in the history of sitcoms. I think it's one of the greatest television characters ever created by one Mr. Larry David. And I think he makes my list as the sidekick from the show because he is so dependent on the main character, whereas the rest of the cast wasn't. I'm talking about George Costanza, sir. George Costanza is my number 2, the top 5 sidekicks of all time. George is my favorite character from Seinfeld. But again, the characters like Elaine's the female lead. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she's the female lead on Seinfeld. Kramer, not a sidekick. To the beat of his own drum, his own character with his own little storylines. I don't think he's a sidekick to Jerry, whereas Jerry and George were always simpatico. Whatever strife was happening with George, Jerry somehow ends up involved in some way, shape, or form, or at least giving George advice on what he should be doing with his life in those moments. And of course, Costanza always messes it up. He's always losing his mind. I just love the character so much. I think a lot of people can relate to George, even though it's, the average Joe dealing with a lot of craziness turned up to 11. I just love that character so much. George Costanza, my number 2.
I'm a big fan. Obviously, I mean, Larry David is like a god to me. I watch Arrested Development every week, even back episodes, so on and so forth. And I believe it was stated that Costanza is loosely based off of Larry David in real life. I mean, well, that's why he's so great, because he's basically writing. Yeah. My one thing would be, I can't remember, and I'm sure they happened, many like times where they were together, like Jerry and George on an adventure. Like it was either all 4 or they all had their own stories that intertwined together. There was still the banter in the apartment and things of that nature. So yeah, there was definitely, I mean, Jerry, the show's called Seinfeld. He's the lead. I mean, that's to be understated. I was just trying to think of like an actual, like George and Jerry on the whatever. So maybe the Schmoopy episode I'm thinking of.
There you go.
Both were out doing each other. Who could be more schmoopy?
Well, but typically like you mentioned, the apartments scenes, but the big interaction where the storylines really, they intertwine, or to me anyways, we're always in the diner. Like you always had George and Jerry. Usually there's those 2 to start in the diner. Sometimes it's Jerry and Elaine, but often it's George and Jerry in the diner. Jerry's Mr. Cool, laid back, like, I got this going on. He doesn't come off as too stressed. And he's like, what about you, George? And of course, Costanza's just on 9 all the time, freaked out about something. And it's very.
Well, I'm replaying episodes in my head now. I'm getting there. Like, when he runs out of the bathroom, say Vandelay Industries, and you want to be my latex salesman, right there. As he's standing there with his pants around his ankles, Fantastic. I love that show. Yeah. It doesn't look well these days because of just technology. It's one of those ones you kind of got to get over, like Cheers and stuff like that. But yeah, it never gets old. And when you said classic, I almost was thinking of Woody from Cheers. So like all the ones were running through my head of like, Costanza's a fantastic thing. Now here's one that's way left of center, my friend.
Uh-oh.
When I explain it, you will agree that it is definitely, it's a personal preference here. 2 and 1, they're like 1A, 1B on my list, but
okay.
I am choosing for the number 2 sidekick of all time as French fries.
What?
French fries. When you have a menu, where are they located? Under the sides. They are sidekicks, my friend. Combo platter. If you go to a fast food restaurant and there's combos everywhere, number 1 through number 20, depending on where you are. The only interchangeable factor is the headliner. It's the burger or the spicy chicken sandwich or whatever. The common thread is the side of fries. It's always the consummate side. It's the best sidekick. It comes along with sandwiches, burgers.
Yeah, steaks.
I've seen you have them with wings at B-Dubs, but the wings are the star there. The wings are the star there. The sidekick are those delicious French fries. Yeah. It is the ultimate sidekick, French fries.
I went to Wooden Hog Barbecue the other day, the Urbana location, and went with a couple of friends who I'm sure are watching. It was Doug and Tim, Doug's birthday, so we went there for lunch. And I ordered whatever I ordered, and I said, and can I get a side of fries? And the woman goes, sweetie, they come with fries. Everything comes with fries. And I'm like, okay. All right, cool. Well, then I'm good then.
They're the perfect side.
Yes, okay. Sure. Number 2, French fries sidekick. I won't debate it with you. That's fine.
There's nothing to debate, man. It could have been number 1.
I'm not going to take it from you. This is your show.
There is no debate.
In this format, I suppose I'm probably the sidekick to you.
No.
This is the Ryan and Kurtis show. It's the Ryan Leska show with special guest Kurtis Allen. So if you want to, I didn't realize we could choose food. Had I known that, maybe I would have chosen fries. Maybe I would have gone with a baked potato.
You said there are no rules, sir. Oh,
you know what I would have gone?
Choose a baked potato over French fries.
I probably would have gone with ranch. Ranch is a pretty great sidekick.
It's called a condiment. And I would really battle between ketchup and ranch as the ultimate condiment.
Oh, now ketchup. Why didn't I think of that? Ketchup.
Salsa. I mean, we can have a whole condiment list. It's debatable. Ranch, fried food. But I mean, as far as overall, that's a tough one.
You're not dipping pizza in ketchup. You're going to dip pizza in ranch, sir.
Or French dressing. I mean, we live in a monocles community.
All right, monocles. Yes, monocles is the only one though. So
it's still an argument. Whereas French fries, number one side.
The show just went totally off the rails because you made French fries your number 2 sidekick of all time. So okay.
You just know in your heart it's right, man. You just know in your heart.
I'm not hating on it. You know what? Yes, you're right. You've got me to come full circle on it. I agree with you. What a tremendous pick. I will not hate. In fact, now I want some French fries.
I know, because they're wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Like I'm going to have a tough time following that with my number 1, the greatest sidekick of all time, but now I got to follow fries with it. I'll just get into it. You even referenced it. Like when you start mentioning sidekicks, there's the alpha and there's the beta. They always say it's the Batman and Robin of fill in the blank. My number 1 is Robin from Batman and Robin, sir. Robin, very rarely the hero, always there to provide support to Batman. More often than not, finds himself in peril, much like George Costanza, much like Donkey, and then Batman has to save him. Often has to choose between saving Robin and a beautiful woman that's going to be taken out by the Joker or the Riddler or Penguin, wherever the case may be. You just said it about Michael and Scotty, Batman and Robin. I mean, I don't know if there's anything other. I don't think you can call Robin a lead dog in any way, shape, or form. He is the ultimate sidekick. Your silence tells me I am 100% correct, sir. Oh, I can't wait to hear this from Mr. French Fry. Tell me how Robin, after you say Batman and Robin when referencing the Bulls, you're going to tell me that Robin's not the sidekick.
He's not a sidekick, and I'm not saying that's not like the saying. I'm just saying like maybe one cool thing about Robin, man.
Maybe that. Well, there you go. That's what makes him a sidekick. He's acrobatic. He does have a cool backstory. Robin's got a cool backstory, which leads him to Batman and why he ends up with Batman. But, I mean, that's part of it, right?
He's got amazing red underwear. I mean, that's something. I know he's taken on a different life. I'm not a big comic book guy, but I know my son watched Teen Titans Go sometimes, and I know he's taken on a new life there. And there's this whole thing about Nightwing and Robin, and there were different Robins and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the concept of Robin has always been, you know, the youthful ward, the faithful companion, et cetera, et cetera. And in that aspect, I agree. He is maybe the most notorious. I don't know if that's the right word.
Notorious.
Just like the most, like you said, most referenced, like most legendary, most like, you know.
Yes, most legendary, thus number 1.
But I have a hard time finding the pizzazz, like a little bit of like, give me some Robin, you know, he's acrobatic. Okay. But
you picked French fries.
Which in many cases can overshine the actual star, but nobody orders French fries and a side of burger. It's burger and fries, but you know, all of a sudden,
Batman and Robin.
Someone throws a little truffle oil on there, and oh shit! And then all of a sudden, you know, there's poutine. You know, like oh man, like there's times for them to shine, but no one's gonna ever, you know, mistake fries for nothing but a side. So that's why he's a sidekick. But there's a hierarchy.
You're describing Robin. You are describing Robin.
There's a hierarchy of French fries. Like a lot of people will claim McDonald's are the best. Some people will say, you know, Five Guys or, you know, Fresh Cut versus, you know, duck fat.
rallies.
But in shape or form, there's a lot of rankings of them, and they're still majestic, but they're always on the side. They are. Fries are majestic, man. Like it's amazing. I have a deep fryer now just for French fries, basically, and onion rings, but they're not as high as French fries. Plus, you always have to pay extra for onion rings. What kind of shit is that? Like, it's literally, is onions that more expensive than potatoes, man? Like, you really, like, you're going to fucking upcharge me just so you can batter some onions? Get the fuck out of here. Fries win. All right. I digress. Robin, he is an iconic sidekick. I will give you that. As far as, like, you know, wow factor is where I'm at a loss. So. My number one sidekick is near and dear to my heart. Since a small child. It is a literary sidekick. Well, actually, shit, I ruined it. I was just going to give you the name and see if you'd have taken the bait, and then I was going to flim-flam you. So I was going to think you were thinking of the rock character from Hobbs and Shaw. But my number one of all time is Hobbs, Calvin Stuffed Tiger Hobbs, the number one sidekick of all time. One of the greatest comic strips ever written, warm, thoughtful, always there for him, tackle him at the door, tearful moments. The last comic strip of Let's Go Exploring off of the mountainside. He was his best and only friend.
Yeah.
But he was a stuffed tiger. And, you know, when he wasn't around, he wasn't real. He's imaginary to everyone but him. He is literally a sidekick. And I reread these books with my kids still now. I pass down my books. I have the hardbound full set edition now. They're my own. The kids aren't allowed to touch, but don't tell them about that. But Hobbs, Calvin and Hobbs, it's literally in the billing. He is the ultimate friend, sidekick, compatriot, companion, whatever you want to call him. That's the number one sidekick of all time.
That's a great choice, man. That's a great choice. Love the choice. I still think Robin's my.
Good. You think Robin's going to outshine Hobbs? Come
on. Yes. I think if it came down to a fight, here's what would happen. They would throw down. Hobbs somehow, though, would get the better of Robin for a split second. Batman comes in, takes out Hobbs. Boom, Robin saved, thus preserving his spot as the number one sidekick of all time.
You're still fighting a tiger, my friend. Have you ever seen the way he tackles Calvin at the door when he comes home?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Robin wins the fight. I'm saying Robin loses his portion of the fight and Batman has to save him, preserving his status as sidekick.
Well, in a sidekick Royal Rumble, I guess Robin's ass out then because you don't have a tag team partner. That's right. So there we go. Number 5 through number 1.
It's a great list. I enjoyed
Fantastic list. You know, I
really enjoyed this one.
I actually want to. I think I'm going to dip into some Seinfeld. It's been a while. I've really only been able to watch comedies over the past week or so. So I've been trying to catch up on a few of them, but I think I'm definitely gonna switch back to Seinfeld. Is that Peacock? Are they doing it now?
Yep.
There's so many damn streaming services.
Well, it's NBC. You know, they've got Seinfeld in syndication.
Right, but isn't Friends on HBO Max?
Yep. So
how does that work, Kurtis?
Well, I can tell you how that works is because wasn't Friends on CBS? Wasn't that a Viacom show? Ooh. No, it was on NBC. It was the Thursday. You're right. Never mind.
It was like right after Seinfeld or before it, right? It was that Thursday night.
I didn't watch Friends.
Oh, you're too cool for Friends? Is that what
I started some controversy. If we were going to do top 5 overrated shows of all time, I put Friends as number 1.
Wow.
Bring on the hate. I can't wait to read the comments.
Too cool for Friends.
I just didn't think it was funny. I don't know. I'll tell you what. Here, off the top of my head. Friends 1, How I Met Your Mother 2, Big Bang Theory 3.
Okay.
That's
I'm with you there.
That's enough.
I'm with you there.
I don't know.
Ted Mosby's one of the worst characters in television. He was the lead of How I Met Your Mother, which actually.
Oh my goodness! Did you wait to the end to freeze?
Not another movie. And Kurtis froze because he's so freaked out. All right. Well,
Yeah, all the way to the end.
You're frozen, my man.
Oh, there you are.
There you are. You froze up, man. It was
you froze up.
Oh, okay. All right, right on. But yeah, Ted Mosby showed up in or in Not Another Teen Movie the other night, and he looked like he was still 35 in a teen. God, was the fucking worst, man. That show sucked. It was horrible. Bing Bong. It's not good. Bing Bong Fling Flong Theory or whatever the hell that was called. That was garbage. But at least like, whatever. I get it. You know, you want to wear geek face. And have you ever watched it without the laugh track? Those YouTube.
I've seen them. Yeah, yeah.
It's garbage, but I will ride for Friends. I will ride for Friends. I think Ross Geller was a very misunderstood character and a borderline sociopath if you really get into it. So I like it, but we will we will table this for another day. Do you have?
Yeah, we got to table it.
Instead of bashing on shit, do you have any recommendations? Have you got anything that you've been watching recently, or any apps you've been messing around with, new songs, anything, man? Anything
I'll tell you. Boy, I am. I don't want to say I'm developing a gambling habit, but I've got DraftKings and FanDuel on my phone now. I stayed away from it for a long time, and I just can't help myself. About every day, I got to do a little something with DraftKings or FanDuel, and I'm kind of good at it too, which makes it even more dangerous. Because right now, it's only like I bet $1 or $3, no more than $5 a game. But I look at those ones that's like 20, 25, $30. I go, I bet I could seriously make some money on this if I wanted to. But those are the apps I'm messing with right now. As far as shows go and things like that, I'm going to watch Lovecraft Country because I hear it is amazing. As a fan of all that old crazy H.P. Lovecraft stuff, I'm kind of curious to see what's brought to life on screen from HBO. So the first episode's on the DVR. Second one I think is tonight, so I gotta get caught up on those. I'm interested in checking those out. But otherwise, it's been pretty much the twins ruling the DVR around the house, which is pretty standard. So
that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, thanks a lot, dude. We'll brainstorm something else coming up here.
Oh, I can't wait to read. I can't wait to read the comments on who other people think are the top 5 sidekicks on our social media. So looking forward to that. It's always fun doing this, man. Can't wait to do the next one.
Absolutely, my friend. Take care.